This is Andy Tube, and I'm just finishing up the restoration of Bennie, a Singer Model 353, and I'm just going to show you a short sewing test because people have asked to hear the machine running so that they can kind of get an idea of how it sounds, and I will do that. And it went together really good. I had a problem with on the widest zigzag, it was skipping 1 out of 5 stitches on the left zigzag, and after checking my timing and so forth, I lowered the needle bar a little bit. When I set that needle bar, I always set it with the top timing mark way up close to the bushing, and on this one that made it a little high, so I had to put it with the top timing mark I don't know, a 32nd of an inch or so below that bushing, a good band of silver showing, and then reset the timing to the lower mark, and that fixed my skipped stitches. Never really had that before, but that's just the tolerance on this particular model, the 353. So the other thing that I wanted to show you was I put new rubber feet on the machine because the old ones were you know, they get dried out and as hard as a rock, really. And every place I went to buy them, it was the same foot as the model is the Singer Model 301A or the 221 Featherweight. And because those models are popular, all their parts and supplies are kind of pricey. But a YouTube viewer and friend of mine who's doing machine restoration repair over in California, he donated me these feet and some others to have me try them and see what I thought. He's been using this particular one on the Featherweight, and I'm assuming on the 301A, and they just were perfect. They're just the perfect fit, and the screw recesses in very nice, so it won't be scratching anything. And he got these at a place I was not very familiar with, called McMaster and Carr. McMaster and Carr. And I'll put a slide here. The part number is 9540K. Looks like space 14. And I think he said you have to, their minimum is like 25 of these feet or something, which for Jack is no problem. He probably goes through quite a few feet a week, and for me, I could use him enough. I don't know if the average person would want to buy 25 feet, you know. But if you are looking for rubber feet, it's the same foot as the 301A is what I see online at Sewing Parts Online and the other suppliers. So let me put the slide up, and thanks Jack Haldeman in California for donating these rubber feet. They're perfect. I like them. Okay, one thing I was very interested to try was this kind of like automatic presser foot, where this is the first and I think only machine I've had where I didn't have some kind of a control over how much pressure is on the presser bar and foot. And I was wondering about that, and I gotta say it seems to work great. It just seems like there's a very strong spring in there, but I just what I did was sew a piece of tissue, you know, just facial tissue here, and here's some straight stitching, right? And let me go, then also some zigzag here. Let me lift this up and go over a little bit. And pressure down a little bit. What I was interested, sorry, you probably can't hear me when I'm sewing. What I was interested in was that it didn't, you know, by just controlling the tension here, lightening up the tension a little bit, especially on the zigzag, was the feed dog and pressure bar didn't do any, of course I just crumpled it up here, but it didn't do any damage to the tissue. And that was me. It didn't do any damage to, I had it set to 0 when I switched it. So, you know, let me just run it through here again, but I was impressed that it did not you know, like crumple up or damage or show what I call tank tracks from the presser foot. And a lot of times with sewing silk and stuff like that on the Singer slants, I've had to go up here to that chrome knob or the dial on the Rocketeers and really lower the pressure on this foot. And since this has automatic control, I was concerned, like, wow, it's going to chew up lighter fabrics, right? But no, it didn't do that at all. It didn't seem to bother the tissue. Just made a nice flat zigzag. And okay, so yay. Then I'll just take some muslin here and I'll run it through. It's kind of the same thing. You can hear, I'll do about I guess that's about a 15 stitch here. Not doing zigzags, so I'll go back up. So it can go up to 900 stitches a minute. It makes a pretty straight, you know, pretty typical straight Singer stitch. Very, very nicely done. Let's go in here and do some zigzag. And it's coming out the same way. This machine does make a nice pretty stitch. So very, very happy with that. Let's go to now some layers and see how we'll do with this automatic presser. I know all my stitching and tension and everything is all good on the machine. So since it's stitching great, I was just more testing the automatic presser thing. So I have some, this is some drapery, some muslin, a couple layers of muslin, some sunbrella, a little bit thicker fleece, and some nylon strapping to give myself some pretty good layers there. I'll make this a little bit longer stitch and drop that down. And first some straight, and no problem for the machine as far as the thickness, and it's, you know, even with all these layers, and it's not a roller or walking foot, it's feeding everything in just fine. So the presser foot system for me was kind of weird to work on. It's like more complicated. Yeah, sorry, I used kind of a rose-colored thread up here, so you probably can't see that very well. But I have the more of a purple on the bottom here. You can see where the straight. But anyway, it did that fine, and it just seems to kind of automatically adjust. Here's my little leather scrap test, and I'll leave it a zigzag, and I think I'll go a closer together zigzag. How's that? Let's see how it. So I have to say that I am impressed with this automatic system, because sometimes sewing on vinyl or leather like this, I've had to kind of fool around quite a bit with the pressure setting on this, because it's like if I didn't have quite enough pressure, it didn't want to feed the item through evenly, and then if I turned it some more, it seemed like it would be too much pressure, and I'd get little teeth marks, and you could really see, like, I thought, wow, that's too strong, I'm damaging the goods. And this just sewed beautifully, fed right through, no problem. So I already like the machine, and now that I understand this automatic presser foot and presser bar system, and its automatic pressure, it's like I don't dislike it as much as I did before, just the idea of it. I find that it works well, so hey, okay, I'll just adapt to that. Other than that, Bennie's all done. I just got to put a coat of the cleaner wax and then a couple coats of the gold wax on there, and I'll be finished. I don't know if any of you remember where I got the super glue on there. I don't know how well that's going to show up, but it left a real rough white kind of cream colored surface on there, and I actually had to go in and sand it with number 600 with some 600 sandpaper, and smooth it out, and then use the plastic polish and stuff to smooth out the sanding marks. So that was my own fault. If you remember, I was careless with the super glue, and I'm happy that the way it turned out. So I don't mind blemishes on a vintage machine. That's just part of their history. Of course, everybody wants the most beautiful machine they can find, but the machines that my wife and I keep, she uses them, so she's more worried about function over form, and I'm the one that's always oiling them and cleaning them and polishing them and stuff like that. Thanks for tuning in to the little sew test here, and the last part of this series will be just a slideshow of the finished machine for my bragging rights, And thanks again, Jack, for donating those feet and giving us a tip where we can save money, because I think he said they come out to like 20 cents a foot or something when you buy them in bulk like that. So see you next time. Take care.